Good afternoon, and welcome back to Child Psychology. This is week 9. We are a little over the hump now. We are on the last half of the class, and so consequently, we have been talking about, or reading about, and thinking about, and observing, and all what we'll call the early childhood, the years between maybe about 3 and 5, where we'll see a lot of what is being formed there is our ability as children, to make good decisions, to see right and wrong. So a lot of these issues are discipline issues. The little video from last week and the discussion presented this child to Disneyland, basically losing control of himself. And so what we're asked to do is to think about, why does the child act that way? What does the parents do? What do the parents do? What is it that the parents should have done or could have done? And so these are issues that are really stay with us because it's easy to look at situations like this and we see this child acting a certain way and we go, well, we don't want the child to act that way. That's not the right way to act. And so we address the behavior. But what might be lacking there is an understanding about, why is the kid doing that in the first place? Where did he get the idea it was okay? Or where did he get the idea that that was the best thing to do in the situation? And so this is kind of a tough situation, or it's just a tough issue because we are human beings and we have a response to something when we see our own child, especially, acting a certain way we don't want them to act, that we just focus on the behavior and we don't really get to know the child or try to interact with the child like that. A couple of you pointed out that cognitive element missing there. I like what Kevin said about the importance of establishing communication between the child and the parents. This is really, really an important issue, is that when we're dealing with behavior, that we understand the child and we establish, there are going to be times that we get upset, but what do we do with upsetness? What do we do when we're upset? How do we handle that? And probably there was something the child really was trying to say. Of course, the behavior was inappropriate, but what is the child really trying to say? Kaneko pointed that out. She pointed to the lack of that opportunity the parent has to really hear the child, to address what's going on with the child. And Joshua adds, to add to that, Joshua, I like what you said about empathy. And there didn't seem to be an interest of the parents in empathy. What is empathy? Empathy is that ability to understand how another person is feeling and why. That would be important, especially if you don't want a child to behave a certain way. It would be important to understand how they feel that got them to that point. On the other hand, it is important not to just let children do whatever they want. And Ryan, you pointed out something very well, that this issue escalates when we allow children to get away with inappropriate behavior. Maybe the time for the conversation of understanding would be back before the child begins to behave. Maybe by not addressing the behavior itself and addressing the feeling behind it, that we lose that opportunity really to connect the bad behavior with a negative kind of consequence. In any case, a lot of good things to learn. I'm not sure there is a right answer, but there are some good issues to think about. And I hope you're enjoying this class. I hope you're enjoying the 9th week as we're continuing this journey to understand how we become who we are as adults by understanding what we go through as children. So I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you for week 10 next week.